Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and welcome to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today I am on a mission to cast loads of LiquidHerO's replays from his replay pack of the week. And let's introduce the star himself, of course the red Protoss player in the lower left position. He's up against NosLoki, Loki the blue Zerg player, in the top right. And well, his previous game I've cast from Hero was of course against TLO. If I haven't released him in that order, then you know I've cast this game with TLO. If I have released them in the correct order, this will be the second game, but I don't always do that. So I don't know why I'm waffling on about that, but the point is, it's another PvZ. Meanwhile, obviously a pylon coming down. It should be a Nexus first on this map. It's quite big. Most Protoss players are comfortable doing that. Meanwhile, Loki, it's going to be a 14-15 pull into about 16 hatch into a 4 minutes-ish third base. Now, I've got to admit, between casting some of these games, I'm playing a bit of Heart of the Swarm because I got a beta key yesterday and it was brilliant until I started playing, but then I started losing so terribly badly to all these strategies and I'm just like, oh, I really wasn't expecting you to do that and now I'm dead. Specifically oracles. Oracles are just something I cannot deal with, and I really need to work out how to. I'm getting to the point where I'm just blindly building static air defense in my base every single game against Protoss just to avoid them, because like 2 oracles get in your base and you just lose. But I may cast some Heart of the Swarm games. Do let me know if you'd like me to. Leave a comment or send me a tweet at MadalsSC2 if you want me to cast some HOTS. If you do, then obviously I'd like to, but of course quite a few people are doing that already, so I'm happy to stick with wings until closer to the end of beta, because I don't know about you guys, but I know a lot of the pros aren't spending too much time on Heart of the Swarm just because of how sweeping the changes are between patches. So it'll be interesting to see how many start moving over closer to the launch date, of course. Now, looking here, Loki, obviously, Paul on the way, Nexus first out of Hero, everything's to be expected. The probe doing a nice little job of blocking the hatchery, though, so that's big pluses straight away there to Hero. Of course, the longer you delay this natural base as a Protoss player, the better you're really going. Another grey block there, and this is really irritating. The pylon getting lobbed down as well. That is so annoying, it's almost BM, and, well, Loki doing the right thing, being like, okay, pylon goes down, I build my third first. The reason you do that is just because you're going to be getting it anyway, but actually pulls off and cancels, so that is going to really quite delay a lot of stuff. A cancel goes down here, and now, of course, Loki is coming down. He can take his natural at about 4 to 4 minutes 20, absolutely fine. Looking here, of course, the Forge up, the gateway on its way, the cannon on its way, the Overlord getting a good scout off, sees obviously no gas yet, the natural base coming down, sees the Forge finish, sees the photon cannon on its way, that gives you good timing information. Meanwhile, that probe dies to a Zergling, the third base should get started, now there's enough money for it, go, there we go, bang, so just after 4 minutes, that's all perfectly normal timings, and really, everything's setting up to be a normal PvZ, and that's good. I love this, by the way. All the Zerg players can learn a lot. With these early Zerglings, make sure you scout everywhere, because you never know when there's going to be a proxy pylon, when there's going to be a cannon rush, when there's just going to be a warping of zealots that kills you because you don't have roaches. They're all very, very plausible things to happen, and something you should make sure that you minimize the risk of by scouting everywhere. And you can really see actually Loki doing a great job of scouting around the map right now, and I do like seeing that. Now, looking here, obviously, no gas will come down for the Zerg player until roughly 40 to 50 odd supply. That's a general ballpark figure of when you can aim to go for those sort of early gases, usually 2, and then you will a little bit get the 3rd and 4th after. Unless of course you're going for some kind of really gas heavy build, then you might get all forward, about 45 supply. But generally speaking, Loki looks to be in an okay spot, everything going where he would want it. We've got the +1 on its way down, we've got what is, well, the first 2 gas there for Hero. We've got everything setting up how it wants. We've got the warp gate tech, of course. This map, I really quite like it, because this third base for Zerg is quite difficult to hold, just purely because of this wide ramp and this wide area. But while those areas are wide, this area here is quite narrow, which makes force fields exceptionally good for the Protoss player. Now, the reason it's actually quite a good map for Protoss, in my opinion, is because when you chuck the Nexus down, you can get some really interesting wall positions down here with gateways, which makes a third base very easy to hold for Protoss, which obviously gives 2 very unique playstyles. You can go for that 2 base big timing push, 2 Zealots just coming in here now, not exactly a big timing push, but you can come and push in here to the third base and knock that out, and that causes a lot of problems for the Zerg. Or you can just take your own third base relatively quickly, which equally causes problems because a 3-base Protoss player obviously exceptionally strong. But here we go, we've got the robotic facility on its way down. That is the first good move right there, because Every time you see a robotic facility, every Zerg player in the world is going to sit there and think, oh my god, it's an Immortal Sentry all-in, I'm going to die. Of course, the way you deal with Immortal Sentry all-ins is you catch them out here. Basically, if you hold this watchtower with a good number of units, get a surround when they're moving out, you force a lot of the force fields to come down in this area, and then by the time they get to your base, there's no energy on the sentries, and you're pretty much happy, and that's assuming, of course, that the Protoss player can hold it off. The longer you delay, the more units you get out. But here we go, we've got that Overlord coming in. Let's take a quick look what it saw. It did see the robotics facility, that's important. Didn't see any additional gateways, sees the 2 sentries down, that's okay. Meanwhile, we've got these Zerglings on their way back. In terms of the worker count, 45 to 49, so Loki will start pulling ahead now. Obviously, Protoss can't get 10 workers at a time easily, so that is all good news. Meanwhile, we've got Lair coming down. We've also got the Evolution Chamber and Roach Warren. They both started at just, well, about 7:40-ish, which is a good timing for that. Now, ooh, this is interesting. No Immortal, but a War Prism. Oh, I do like some drop play. I think it is so damn sexy. Obviously the Lair, the Roach Warren, the Evolution Chamber, they're all getting there ready to deal with the big ground pushes, but of course on this map, do a little drop down here, lift it up into the main, back to the third, back to the main, and of course those units on the ground have just oh so much further to go. The macro hatch on its way for Loki, clearly not feeling comfortable to take his 4th yet, and it looks like Hero just happily going to do a little bit of drop harassment and take his 3rd base, and I think that's a really nice strat actually. It is going to get no, it's not going to get scouted. It may do by these Zerglings, though. That would be a good little scout. And boom! 1 War Prism flying straight over your head. Of course, the Overlord here as well. We should see some units pulled. Straight away, the Queen already going there. The Roaches that are on their way out should come over. It'll be interesting to see what these Zerglings do. Meanwhile, the 3rd base on its way down for Hero. He's in a comfortable position. The Overlord gets a great scout off. We've got Zerglings on their way over as well. The Roaches are not coming over yet. Looks like just a handful of units coming up here, ready to defend what I said, that drop between the 3rd and main. And this is getting shut down really, really nicely by Loki, actually. And big credit to him for that good scouting information. He's been really good at scouting all the way through. This drop of 4 Zealots, though, they are going to pick off the Queen, which of course is less than ideal. Hopefully there's some spare Queens somewhere. Yep, there's still 4 on the field. That's good. 1 just popping. A great surround by most of those Zerglings there. A couple of those Zealots getting low on health. That Warp Prism getting low on health as well. Meanwhile, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th gas all down, so this is good news. Meanwhile, a handful of Roaches coming for a counter push, and there's only a handful of sentries there. This could be unfun times for Hero, who's transferring a lot of probes over. There's of course the cannon, but well, these Roaches in this position maybe had to snipe off a handful of sentries. That would be absolutely amazing for Loki right now. Meanwhile, the infestation pick coming down behind this for him. He's got the +1 missile attack nearly finished, roach speed already done. These Roaches pulling back, just threatening, and I like that. I like that little poke and prod being like, hey, I could kill you whenever I want to. Or at least threatening. I can put on some pressure whenever I want to. I'm not afraid to do that. That's always going to be in the back of Hero's mind of, hey, my opponent isn't just going to sit back and macro up and let me dominate the map. He may just come and kill me, which is always going to be a concern. Of course, that Warp Prism chilling around, completely scouted out though. Looks like it's going to go and try and get some more harassment off by the Queens here. We've got, of course, the 4th base on its way, the macro hatch down, everything looking really, really nice for the most part. And, of course, the 2 Immortals on the field. No sign of any further teching though. Obviously, Blink on its way, but importantly, I'm noting that there's no Robotics Bay, which means Colossus are going to be delayed quite heavily. So, LiquidHerO happily just seeing a bit longer on kind of the mid-game tech as opposed to going up into tier 3, so I'll be interested to see when he does go for that. And obviously timing wise, Loki's already got his infestors out. He's got, well, they're going to be out soon obviously once pathogen glands hits 30 of 50, so well, that's the point really where you have to tech up. And now this is really interesting, a lot of gateways being added on and the Templar archives, so High Templar look like they're going to be in store. And in all honesty, I don't know if this game was played before the patch or not. I think it probably was, but yeah, it almost certainly was actually. So High Templar, obviously after the patch change to the infested Terran eggs, it makes a lot of sense because obviously then Storm starts killing them. But perhaps Hero going for some kind of Archon heavy build, that's always a possibility. The Spire on its way down though, and still of course no Robotics Bay, something that I find really quite confusing because of course we're at 13.5 minutes, and if you don't start getting a few Colossus out, you can start running into problems. But it looks like Loki happy to just start moving forward with what is quite a sizable army. If we look at the army tab, 99 to 79, so Obviously not completely dominating. Storm on its way down. The Infestors are there. Of course, feedback is a good thing to use against Infestors. We've got the Spine Crawlers coming down. The drop coming down. Going to try and pick off the Queen, but in come the reinforcements. But look at this. This is a nice position. Great force fields on their way down for Hero now, who's keeping all of this Zerg army trapped back. The Infestors are there, though. Fungal Quotes do start hitting. That is, of course, where you've got to start worrying. But great force fields trapping a lot of units. Using an awful lot of force fields, though. That's the only potential criticism. But as you can see, this damage is absolutely huge. Those 3 Immortals doing lots of damage each, and of course all managing to stay up, not getting focused down because of the good force fields at the moment. As you can see, the Infested Terrans are down. They're going to start help cleaning this up, but for the most part, Hero, he hasn't come off terribly here. He's still got some units in the game, and the only downside is, of course, the resupply is probably going to hurt. Loki is going to be able to get up quite a few units. The Infestors are still there. Hero, I think, in this situation, needs to be very, very cautious of losing these armies. The Warpings from the Warp Prison obviously going to help him massively, but he doesn't want to lose all of this force. That's the only concern. The feedbacks go down on the Infestors. Doesn't quite manage to pop them, but does wreck all of their energy. That, of course, means no Fungal Quotes, no Infested Terrans. That is good times. This 4th base definitely going down. Meanwhile, behind this, of course, the 4th base nearly up for Hero, so that is all good news. And now Hero taking out the 4th base. He's happy to start pulling back. Going to do a tactical retreat. He's done the damage he wanted. And it's good damage. It means he's now a base up on his opponent, or will be very, very shortly. The counter-attack is the only threat. Good cannons down here. We've got a handful of High Templar as well. The Storm nearly ready there on those. You have more High Templar coming down. That goodness, that is a lot of them. Meanwhile, all the Stalkers on their way back. The ground army really just coming to retreat back into a good position. We do, of course, have the Observer keeping a good eye on everything that's coming down here. But in come the Roaches, a good number of units here, though some Archons morphing in as well. So that is all cool. And generally, you're going to be pretty happy as Hero right now. Even though you are, well, you are slightly ahead in the worker count, slightly behind in the army count. That doesn't matter too much because you're doing good drop harassment through all the bases. You picked off the 4th base, you're base up, you've just scouted the hive timing, you've got your own Stargate on its way. Everything's going good. That Immortal is going to get picked up, unfortunately, but an awful lot of Zealots on their way in. And of course, now the Roaches come in, that will get cleaned up exceptionally easy. But it's pulled all of the Zerg army back, and it's allowing you to come in here. Hero coming straight through with a lot of units. He's going to force a deny, a cancel on this 4th. That in its own right is incredibly annoying, and actually the cancel doesn't go off. That in itself is quite a big loss. We've got a counter-attack coming in here, though. Is Hero going to be able to get back into a good position to defend it? Well, yes is the answer. He's got his Fleet Beacon coming down behind this, so Mothership en route. He's ready to deal with those Broodlords. Of course, Hive not finished yet. The Greater Spire will take another 100 seconds after that. This is all really, really nice for Hero. He's piecing together everything that he'll want, and it's all going very, very nicely indeed for him. And if he manages to get another cancel on this 4th, which he very well may, because he's dropping in the main. Meanwhile, the Gale goes down the cancel, the main drop. If it snipes off the Spire, that would be absolutely extraordinary, and it looks like it's going to. The Spire goes down. That is a massive delay to Broodlord tech and put Hero so far ahead in this game. He's going to take out the 3rd base as well by the looks of things. Some good storms hitting, just doing a nice little bit of damage, dealing the AoE that is of course needed, but that is the important kill right there. The 3rd base is dead and gone, and even if Hero's army here gets cleaned up, which it most likely will, he can pull back. He can warp in a lot more units down here and be very, very happy with the fact that he's doing good damage in the main. He's not going to be able to clean up much else. This hatchery will survive because obviously the Roaches are back, but this counter push, it's not enough units to deal with all of this and all of these cannons and all of these High Templars. So that is pretty much all okay. We've got more High Templar warping in, more Zealots warping in. Got to be careful, a good storm comes down though, and of course Loki, he's feeling the pressure having lost all of his bases. He's feeling like, hey, I've got to do something. Feedbacks going down on some of those Infestors. That, of course, would be absolutely beautiful. The High Templar getting taken down, though. The Fungal Quotes are good for the Zerg player at the moment. Great blink backs, though. We've got more Infested Terrans on their way out. And, well, for the most part, Hero, he's got the supply lead. That's always a good sign. The cannons, of course, here as well. And this is where you start running into major problems. A major brick wall as the Zerg player. Because, hey, what do you do against this much stuff? And the answer is not too much. Upgrade-wise, it's 1-2 compared to 3-1 for the Protoss, so a big upgrade advantage there at the moment for the Protoss player as well. He's got the supply advantage, the upgrade advantage, arguably the tech advantage after sniping off that Spire, and there is the GG. And Hero, in that just multi-prong harassment, he was actually going for another drop in the main base while this was going on. That was just beautiful play. So guys, if you did enjoy, please subscribe, like the video, leave a cool comment, and I will catch you all tomorrow for yet another new cast. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.